Today, we're going to explore one of the most profound books ever written, Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning. And it all starts with a single, incredibly tough question. I mean, really think about that for a second. If you lost it all, your home, your job, your family, your freedom, what would be left? What on earth could possibly motivate you to even get up in the morning? You see, Frankl didn't figure this out in a comfortable office or university library. He forged his philosophy in the absolute hell of Nazi concentration camps during World War II. And to really get his ideas, we have to start there, in the darkness. To really understand Frankl's philosophy, you have to understand the crucible it was formed in. This isn't just some abstract theory. It's a way of thinking that was born from and survived the most unimaginable suffering. So, in 1942, Frankl, who was already a successful psychiatrist in Vienna, was deported along with his family. He ended up spending 3 years in camps like Auschwitz and Dachau. He lost almost everyone. His parents, his brother, and his pregnant wife were all killed. He was stripped of his name, his possessions, everything. And every single day was a new horror of starvation, disease, and just unspeakable cruelty. And through all of this, the psychiatrist in him was observing. He noticed that prisoners went through 3 distinct psychological stages. First, there was just pure shock, a kind of disbelief that this could even be real. Then, that shock gave way to a deep, deep apathy, an emotional numbness that was actually a necessary defense mechanism to just survive the daily trauma. But you know the craziest part? The third phase often came after they were freed, a profound sense of disillusionment, a bitterness that the world they returned to felt empty and could never really understand or make up for what they lost. But it was right there, in that pit of absolute hopelessness, that Frankl had an earth-shattering realization. It was a discovery that would define the rest of his life and offer a powerful message of hope for all of us. He saw that while the camp guards could control every single aspect of a prisoner's external world, what they ate, where they slept, whether they lived or died, there was one thing, one tiny space they could never ever touch. And this is the absolute core of his message. He realized that between the thing that happens to you and how you react, there is a space. And in that space lies your freedom and your power. The guards could inflict suffering, but they couldn't decide how he would respond to it. That choice, that inner freedom, could never be taken away. This led him to an amazing conclusion. He said that there are really only 2 races of people in the world, the decent and the indecent. And here's the kicker. He saw both types among the prisoners, and he saw both types among the guards. He saw prisoners who became cruel and guards who showed small kindnesses. It proved to him that decency isn't about what group you belong to. It's a choice that every single person has to make, no matter the circumstances. So this incredible personal insight didn't just stay in the camps. After the war, it became the foundation for a whole new type of psychotherapy, one that he called logotherapy. Okay, so what is logotherapy? Well, the word logos is Greek for meaning, so you can literally think of it as meaning therapy. And its core idea is super simple but incredibly powerful. The primary driving force in us as humans isn't the search for pleasure or power, it's the search for meaning. Now, to get how revolutionary this was, you have to remember the other giants of psychology at the time. You had Freud, who said we're all driven by a will to pleasure. Then you had Adler, who said it was a will to power. And then Frankl comes along and says, no, you're both missing the most important one. He argued that what we really truly crave, deep down, is a will to meaning, a purpose that makes our lives feel worthwhile. So what happens when that will to meaning gets frustrated, when we can't find our purpose? Frankl had a name for that feeling too, the existential vacuum. And wow, does this feel relevant today? It's that feeling of inner emptiness, of boredom, of just kind of going through the motions without any real point. He saw it as a huge problem in modern society, a void that people desperately try to fill with stuff, with entertainment, or with distractions, which often just leads to more anxiety and depression. All right, so how do we fight back against that existential vacuum? How can we take these lessons, forged in the most extreme conditions, and apply them to our own lives and our own struggles? Well, that brings us to his final, and maybe most beautiful concept. He called it tragic optimism. Now, this isn't some naive, smiley-face positivity. It's the exact opposite. It's an optimism that looks suffering, guilt, and death, what he called the tragic triad, square in the face, and still finds a way to say yes to life. So how do we actually do this? Well, Frankl gave us a roadmap. First, we can turn suffering into an achievement by choosing our attitude towards it. Second, we can use guilt from our past, not to beat ourselves up, but as an opportunity to change and become better. And third, we can use the fact that life is short, that it's transitory, as the ultimate motivation to take responsible action and make every moment count. Frank often used this quote from the philosopher Nietzsche because it perfectly sums up his whole idea. If you have a why, a purpose, a meaning, a reason to get out of bed, you can endure almost any hardship life throws at you. For Frankl in the camps, his why was the burning hope that he would see his wife again and be able to rewrite the book he had lost. That's what kept him alive. And in the end, Frankl's message completely flips the old question on its head. He says we should stop asking life, "What is your meaning?" because life is actually asking us that question. Every day, in every situation, life is asking you, what meaning are you going to create right now? The answer isn't something you find, it's something you build. And as Frankl so powerfully taught us, that choice is and always will be